Welcome, welcome.
Ah,
So, so, welcome to Journey of Grandiasha. Uh, I got a little sidetracked looking for shinies in my bag of dice because I may or may not need them this session. But nonetheless, uh, welcome, welcome to the Will-O-Wisp Woods. Happy to have you. Tonight starts another episode 21 of the Will-O-Wisp Woods. Last we had left off, we had a few different things going on. Kiv, who is currently sick, so she will not have her camera on, but May was introduced to a deal that couldn't exactly be ignored. Dwindle and Odile had a wonderful time at the tavern. Odile seeing a side of Dwindle that he likely does not want anyone else to see. Nyla finding more information as well as a pathway to a room of things that likely weren't supposed to be seen. And this episode, we start with the group. If I'm not mistaken, everybody went back to the tavern, right?
Still
Aye.
wandering around the town.
Ah, you're still at the docks.
I'm just sort of wandering. I don't think I'm still
Hmm.
at the dock specifically.
Well, I assume you're going to take your long rest somewhere at some point.
Eventually.
Okay. Well, the other three wake in the tavern in their rooms. The sound downstairs is much quieter than it was the night before. The bustling tavern has calmed. Many are asleep at this hour, and there is a very light, very kind, and warm sounding melody being played downstairs as the tiefling seems to have already begun. The oh, thank you, General, for 4 months. That's a quarter of the year down. But the melody downstairs is heard by any and all that have awoken in the tavern. The light, airy song played almost like it almost sounds like how it smells to wake up on a summer morning. Food being made, dewdrops collecting on the grass outside. It almost sounds like that. And even in this cold climate, it's warming. There's the sound of footsteps against wood as each of the tavern maidens are helping to clean up, care for, and resituate the tavern as a few tables have been pushed together, others moved apart, so on and so forth, as different amounts of people and different party sizes have come in from last night. Nonetheless, however, everything seems to be getting set up once again for the day. The smell of breakfast is being made as you can smell different meats being prepared, different spices. You've got what smells like eggs being cooked. And on top of that, you can hear a few gruffed voices of heavy lifting as sacks of flour and sacks of oats are being moved. The day has begun, and the day is yours to take. What would you three like to do?
Try to feed some eggs with spit.
Try to what?
Feed some eggs to spit.
Perfectly fine with them.
I will make you like meat.
Spit takes the eggs and very easily munches them down. They're sunny side up, so they kind of drip from his mouth, and you just see the yellow ooze kind of go down his beard just a little bit. And then he just kind of stares at you before slowly leaning down, staring at you the entire time, and just continuing to munch on hay and straw and feed that has been provided by the tavern keep, alongside the cost of keeping them within the stables.
Back to the tavern.
Well, inside the tavern, you would have already seen them as you came down, but any that come down to the tavern itself, you can see a few older gentlemen kind of sitting in one corner playing checkers. It seems that they're either retired or don't have a job, as they're sitting here this early in the morning. The rest of the tavern is relatively quiet, save for another 2 or 3 men sitting at a table having breakfast, seemingly talking about yesterday's work day and what seems to be on the itinerary today for today's work day. You can hear them stop one of the tavern maidens to chit-chat with them, just to have small talk, and she seems to interact with them almost like a sibling. And you notice that one of the men does look a lot like this woman. But other than that, it seems that the tavern itself is relatively empty this early in the morning. Of course, there is one drunk already at the bar, starting very early, or finishing last night's, uncertain as to which. However, at one of the tables in the middle of the room, you do see the tiefling gingerly playing his violin in a much more calm, much more elegant manner as he sits one leg crossed over the other with his ankle meeting his knee, and his eyes are closed as he just kind of sways back and forth, just enjoying the music he's making. The morning is yours to make. What would you three like to do?
I'm gonna go get some breakfast.
Okay.
Alright. Gonna go downstairs. And I'm gonna order whatever fruit they have.
They've got a few.
And
They've got oatmeal with different assortments of berries. They've got bacon, eggs. They have toast. They have pancakes, funny enough, are actually today's special, boysenberry. They have a light purplish hue to them, but this small stack of pancakes is handed to one of the 3 men that are actually sitting and chatting with one of the women that work here. You notice that it is very much a very nice smell. It's almost like a mix of blackberry and raspberry at the same time. It's a very pleasant smell.
oh heck yeah, I want some boysenberry pancakes. That sounds delicious.
Awesome. Well, due to your
It's very
payment
cool.
of the room and the food coming with it, the boysenberry pancakes are set in front of you after being made, and next to it, they actually set a small, not necessarily a container. I'm trying to find the word, but it's a small, almost like a coffee cup, but it comes to a point on one of the sides, and the handle is a very beautiful curve, and inside you can smell warm syrup.
Sounds delicious. Okay.
As many flapjacks as you can give me.
Remind me to thank Dwindle later.
For one person, they give you a plate of about 6 before it starts to kind of wobble. But they set it down gingerly in front of you, and it smells wonderful. You can tell that all of this food is made in-house. A lot of this is made from scratch, and it seems that they make it themselves in the back. These flapjacks are actually somewhat thick, where most would make them a little thinner to save on ingredients. These flapjacks are about that thick. And as you look at it, you can see that each one has a small square of butter on it. One on top, if you peel the one underneath, peel that up to seal the one underneath, you can see that there's actually another one under that on top of the next flapjack.
Just say, man, come on.
That sounds delicious, man. Whew.
Finally, a proper dwarf amount. Grabs a jug. And just...
So,
Right.
May, you watch as Dwindle covers himself in flapjack and syrup, basically. His beard
Why
catching...
am I not surprised?
Yep. His beard is definitely catching most of it, as it is seemingly saved for later.
Don't you know?
Because I have a beard. All it does is catch food and save it for later. But, Dwindle, you and May both can see each other sitting at the bar as the tiefling plays his music in the middle of the room, quietly enjoying himself. It seems that the person manning the bar right now is a tavern maiden that's just kind of trying to get out food to the few that are here. However, after your food is set down in front of you, you are left to yourselves as she helps the table with the 3 men and the 2 gentlemen in the corner playing chess. They are also given what looks to be coffee and then a bottle of whiskey in the middle of the 2. And one of the older gentlemen just takes the bottle, pops it open, and just pours a little bit more than a shot into his coffee and then just sets the bottle down.
Proper helping.
Sounds like he's got the right idea.
So,
Gonna finish eating my breakfast, give Window a little thank you, and I'm gonna go out, and I wanna head to the pet shop. Odil's not here to stop me.
3.
well, what does Odile want to do as you also awaken in the tavern? And you can smell the food downstairs. It is not hard to miss.
I wait like 5 minutes after May left the room to leave the room myself.
Okay.
And I make my way down there. And I sit next to Dwindle. Interesting. Okay. and I just order like some toast and water.
Okay.
At the bottom, find a leaf.
The toast itself is well made. It seems that since they don't have toasters, what they do is they take it and they put it on one of the skillets and flip it over when they believe that it is done on one side. And it's a very nice golden brown on both sides due to this, as it seems that whoever's done it has practice. On top of that, they also hand you 3 very small portion jars. These jars have labels across them, very simple. You've got one that says apple, one that says grape, one that says blackberry, one that says raspberry. These little jars seem to contain jellies. Jellies and jams.
I look at them, I look back at them. Do you have any butter?
They then set out a small circular bowl of what seems to be a ball scoop of butter with a small toothpick in it for you to grab it and kind of move it around if you need, as well as silverware that is provided, of course, if you wish to use that instead.
I'd probably use a silverware because toothpick ain't gonna do much. That's perfect. So I'll put the butter on my toast and then turn my head and watch as May leaves the tavern and start to wonder, what is she doing? But I do not follow. I just sit there and enjoy my time.
Wonderful. Well. So Nyla, while they're enjoying a wonderful meal this morning, where are you? And what would
That
you
is a
like to
great
do with your
question.
morning?
I probably found just like an alley or a doorstep, just like someplace out in the open to sleep, or like a little bit secluded. Like an apple. Didn't really do much.
Okay. Well, let's see what part of the city you have found yourself in.
Guessing time.
Yeah, and sort of like vaguely keeping an eye open for people that we were intending to look for, but also very much lost in our thoughts. So
Well, you find yourself more towards the northwestern portion of the city, based off of just wandering around, following different alleys and paths that you found. And as you're kind of waking yourself up and in your own head and just kind of existing, you hear a voice, as well as what sounds like metal, as one of the city guard at the end of the alley has noticed you and simply, "Oi, move along. No one's going to let beggars around the rich district. Come on, move along."
you'll get up and walk off in the opposite direction.
They kind of stand there at the end of the alley watching you for a moment before they then continue on their patrol, not seemingly worried. However, rich district. You haven't really heard anything of people chit-chatting about a rich district. However, you have heard the term Haven District that you actually see on one of the signs as you notice the change in buildings, as well as a wall. There's a gate between some of the buildings nearby. And you notice that on the other side, the buildings themselves seem to be of higher quality. much better taken care of, much more carefully made, built, and a lot of the people that step outside their home for a moment to grab papers or whatever it is that they have left on their front porch by the local, we'll say, paper boy. It seems that they are at least better off than the rest of the city itself. A lot of the buildings are a lot larger as well. They actually have yards as well, funny enough, on their properties. So it's easy to see what the guard meant, but it seems that it is a gated community. In the opposite direction, you find yourself in a better part of town that seems to have a few people that are well dressed, already kind of walking, kind of enjoying themselves this morning, either heading to work or simply taking a stroll. Nonetheless, you find yourself among the city.
I wonder which other families we're looking for.
Well, that depends.
I think I'll still kind of walk around. I know that I'm not going to fit in very well, but see if I can overhear someone talking about the father and the Barons. Or, honestly, any of them.
Okay. Well, with as few people out as it is, I would ask that you roll a perception check. As you're simply listening in rather than asking them questions.
Yeah. 7 plus 4, so 11.
11.
I think I'm gonna get much.
Well, you can hear a few chattering about their personal itineraries for the day, what they plan on doing. A few of them talk about having to go and get groceries or supplies. But it doesn't seem that many are talking about any of the families. Let's see.
Are there any jewelry shops around?
That's a good question. As this seems to be mostly residential areas, it does not seem that there is a jewelry shop in this vicinity. You could probably look around or go back towards the market district, and you would know that there are a few jewelry shops throughout the market district. In this specific area, however, you are unsure if there are, and it doesn't look to be anything more than residential.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep looking in like the slightly richer part of town.
Okay. So, while you're doing that, May, you have left and are going towards the pet shop.
Yes, sir.
Very brave, first off.
What can I say?
What would you like to do as you head down this street? It seems that there are a few more people moving towards the market district as they are either about to get to work or heading towards their job, as a lot of these people are manual laborers that work in the actual smithing district and the market district itself as manual laborers, or people who actually work in these shops. You don't, however, see any Tarkin's family carriage or guard or anything like that as you head out. So
Okay, that's awesome. I'd like to get to the pet shop, and when I get there, um, I go straight to the pet shop. I don't really. It's a very embarrassing story for me, um, and when I get there, is there anybody at the counter or anything?
it seems that the half orc that you had seen helping Dwindle and working the place is still there. Seems that the day is an early start for this young man, as he is already starting to feed some of the front display animals and those that do eat multiple meals a day. Seems that the tortoise has found its way out of its little enclosure and is now within the building itself, just kind of standing in one spot.
I wonder if I could kidnap the tortoise instead and hold him for ransom. No, I'm not gonna do that. I am gonna approach the desk and say, "Hey, how you doing? Does the owner happen to be in today? I've got a little personal business with the man himself."
The young half orc, while in the middle of feeding, finishes up his current task and makes his way back. He gets behind the counter and then looks to you and he goes, "Hello, you were needing help?"
Yeah, is the owner in today?
No, he said he'd be taking the day off. I've been going at everything by myself this morning. Is there something specific that you need? Can I leave a message for him?
Um,
It seems that the Tarkins, the people who own the place, they needed to speak with him yesterday, and he hasn't really been back since. Said that he had personal affairs that he had to work on, and that
well,
the Tarkins needed to speak with him. So, I am not sure when he's getting back. Like I said, if you have a message for him, you can leave that here, and I'll get it to him. But
actually, I was here talking to him yesterday. Both him and young Tarkin. Um, he actually left something in his office for me. Uh, I was wondering if there's any way either you can grab it or it was on his desk. Um, is an envelope?
roll a deception check.